have the Vikings and the Panthers. Panthers, Bryce Young comes back and they look worse. I'm sorry, but with what I've seen from CJ Stroud, what he's done with minimal help on offense compared to Bryce Young hasn't been overwhelmingly impressive. You've scored 10, 10, and 13 points so far in your NFL debut. It's not like the Vikings are doing anything stellar on defense. Andy Dalton stepped up and played well. You guys were actually able to put up some points, I guess, against the Seattle Seahawks. And then for the Vikings, they tried to lose. I mean, they tried their best. They only got 21 points. Kirk Cousins, do you want to pick 6 for 100 yards and then fucking rock me when I try and tackle him? Sure, Kirk Cousins was getting leveled in this game. There were a couple bad interceptions, and then their defense held them the 13 points, but I don't know. They were still sloppy and had some bad penalties in this game. So the Vikings still can't run the ball. It's Justin Jefferson or bust, and that's just not going to cut it. And the Panthers, we thought they were going to be mediocre. No, they're just bad. They're just really bad. And Frank Reich, if you're going to have a young quarterback and try and develop him, I mean, just let him sling the ball and make mistakes at this point. Frank Reich, I said he wasn't the right guy for the job. He's not. I mean, you could have had someone like D'Amico Ryans on this team, but you went with someone like Frank Reich, who's as interesting as looking at toast for about a half hour straight.
Yeah, this is a bad game overall, and I don't know if the Vikings can really recover from their struggles. I mean, on paper, right? Like, I see them on paper. I'm like, all right, well, they have some nice players on offense. They got some decent players on defense. They should be better than how they're playing. But at the same time, has Kirk Cousins regressed? Is their offense too Justin Jefferson centric? Do they not have a run game? And the answers to that is all yes.
Yep.
To this point, like, Kirk Cousins has been one of the better players in the league the last 7 or 8 years or so. But if he's going to keep throwing it, if he's going to have a Ryan Tannehill arc at this point, that's not going to be good for this team, especially because their defense can't really get those big stops. They can against a team like the Panthers because they're an easy team to scheme for. They don't have an amazing run game. They don't have amazing weapons, and their offensive line is pretty brutal. So for a team like the Panthers, they can get a win, but they have a little bit of Chargers in them where you can't trust them week in and week out. You don't know what Vikings team you're going to get. And that's going to spell trouble, especially in a division where you have the Lions. You even have the Packers, too, who are going to be competitive. So, like, this Vikings team's in a lot of trouble. And with other teams that have emerged throughout the NFC, I just don't see it for them. And I think this is going to be a lost season for the Vikings.
Yeah, the thing with the Vikings, too, say you trade Kirk Cousins to a quarterback-needy team like the Jets or another team if their quarterback gets hurt this year. If you tank this year and you get the guy at quarterback, guess what? You automatically leap the Packers and the Bears already. Jordan Love is not the guy there. He's missing way too many open guys for someone who sat as long as he did and should be NFL ready, should be hitting wide open receivers and not turning the ball over. And Justin Fields, not the guy. Bears are also taking. But if you can be worse than the Bears somehow and lose both of those games, you could trade Kirk Cousins and leapfrog the Packers and the Bears if you don't mind losing for a season. And then this is a Vikings team who's never really had a franchise guy at quarterback.
Not like a Caleb Williams.
Not like a star. Not like a Caleb Williams. Not like a Sanders, even though he's not coming out of the draft this year. But you still have some other talent coming out of the draft. So the Vikings should add themselves to the list of teams who should tank and get a quarterback. I know a few people were floating around trading Kirk Cousins to Atlanta.
Sure.
Yeah, so maybe do a package. You get Desmond Ridder, lose a bunch of games, and then go out there, leapfrog the Bears and the Packers.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they've had good quarterbacks in the past. Like, they've had the Dante Culpeppers and the Fran Tarkins and stuff, but they haven't had like a Caleb Williams could be, competing with Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen for like best in the league. You haven't had a best in the league guy ever at your positions. Yeah. You've had a lot of Case Keenums. You've had a lot of Sam Bradfords, Kirk Cousins, guys who are fine, complimentary guys.
Oh, yes, yeah,
solid. But you haven't had the guy who's going to make defenses sweat.
No.
So go out and get that guy for you. Kirk Cousins has had a great run in Minnesota, but go out and get a guy, please.